Welcome to the Pathways to Profitability podcast, personal tales of business success. Are you feeling stuck improving your profitability? Learn from fractional business professionals how their services move your profitability needle. Here's your host, Cheryl Mucha, CEO of CFO Your Way.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today on Pathways to Profitability podcast. I am Cheryl Mucha, owner of CFO Your Way, and our guest today is Christy Maxfield. Christy, thank you so much for being here with us today. Christy is the founder of Purpose First Advisors. Christy, thanks.
Thanks so much, Cheryl. Yes, I started Purpose First Advisors when back in 2017 to work with owners who are really interested in strategic growth and looking at their business through the lens of their vision, so that it really made sense to center exit planning as part of our growth strategy. So I'm really excited to be here with you.
I'm excited for our conversation. There's so much we can cover in this period of time we're together. So let's get to it, right?
Yes.
So a little bit about like the best client, like what's that business owner look like that you can have the greatest, I'm going to say the quickest impact?
You know, we often think about our ideal client in terms of like, how big is their company? How many employees do they have? What kind of revenue? And I've started to really think about my ideal client from the standpoint of, it's an owner who doesn't want a magic bullet. It's an owner who is really willing to put in the work and wants to reap the rewards from that work. And that work really is designed to help them get the most out of being a business owner. So I'm looking for business owners who are saying, this business is a tool. It's a means by which I can help create a life I love. And it should, not at some distant point in the future, but right now, to the greatest extent possible, it should be providing me with the opportunity to spend more time with my family, to invest in the things and the people and the causes that I care about, and to really have the flexibility that we all, if you ask any business owner, one of the reasons they chose this path isn't because it's easy, it's because they perceive it as being a way to have more flexibility and freedom in their life. And unfortunately, they often feel really tied down by it.
Right, and you get into it and it's not that, right?
Right. In the beginning, it's not that. In the beginning, it is not about freedom. It is not about flexibility. But if we're at the stage where we're thinking about growth, we've gone out into the market. People are buying what we're selling. We're successful. Now the question is, how do we continue to improve profitability and actually reap the rewards from our business? So when I think of my ideal client, it's that person who says, I am already working really hard.
Right.
Now I want to work smart so that I can get these benefits way before I'm too old, too tired, too worn out, too whatever to enjoy them.
Right. And the business, entrepreneurs, right? We put everything into our business, but why not have the business, run itself and work for us instead of we work for it?
Yeah. My dad owned a florist. My grandfather started it in a detached garage, and my dad did that, and he raised 4 kids with my mom, and it was a job and an income stream, and he was his own boss, but it wasn't a thing that could help him really catapult into something more.
Right.
And consequently, it took a lot out of him. And I just want more for other business owners.
Yeah, there's so much there to unpack. So I know one of your things too is, looking at the end goal and how do we get to that end goal, whatever it is, the exit strategy, whether it's transition to a family member or sell or like any option in between, right? So talk a little bit about that and how you work with your clients in that aspect, and maybe a success story.
Sure. So a lot of times we think exit is this faraway thing. It's a finite activity. It's at the end when we're ready to say we're done. And some people aren't ever ready to say they're done, so they think there is never an exit. What it really is what is your vision? What are we working this hard for? If we can be clear about where we're going, then we can assess the business for where it is and then make strategic decisions about how to get to where we want to be. And to your point of there's a lot to unpack in terms of like, why can't you just be an owner and not have to work at the day to day? I just don't think we talk about that in our business circles enough. We think about leaving a job where we were an employee to become our own employee, but we don't talk about becoming a business owner and an investor in an asset that reaps us rewards. And that's truly what our business is. It's an asset. And
exactly.
Any other asset, we would be looking ways to maximize its value, not just reap the most benefit from it today. And so that shift in mindset to investor and to thinking about how do I make strategic investments that can allow me to live the life I love, but also I don't have to work in my business. If you own stock in any way, shape, or form, if you have a 401k, you own businesses that you don't work in. That if you show up, there's no desk for you. There's no stuff.
They won't let you through security either. Right?
So if you thought about, wow, how could I grow my business in a way where I don't actually have to show up every day? There's a different approach to the work. There's also a lot of identity and stuff in there. So success story. A lot of my clients are works in progress right now. We're actually in the middle of working with 2 partners who have they had a 2-year time frame, and they got an unsolicited buyer who wanted to, go through the due diligence process. So they're going through that right now, which also begs are you ready to accept the offer if the offer is made? And what offer would be good enough for you? And why is that the number? And all of those kinds of things. And so the earlier we can start, the better we can position ourselves to have the kind of exit we want, whether it's something we initiated or somebody else initiated. So the success stories are really like the works in progress where people are willing to explore and grapple.
Right. And that's a great point. Like, to be ready when, someone, again, knocks on your door with, ready to write a check to buy your business. And so many business owners don't think like that, like to your point, it's way in the future, right? So we don't even have to prepare for that or think about that, or like, what is this business really worth to someone else?
And that's the only thing that matters, honestly. If one day you think you're going to cash out and get a big windfall and go to Tahiti,
right,
then the only thing that matters is what does somebody else think the business is worth?
Right.
And then
it doesn't matter how much money you need to go live in Tahiti.
Well, right. I mean, you need to know that number so that you can understand, like, if that's going to take $3 million or $6 million, then how much value you have to create in your business does matter.
Right.
However, you're only looking at building value through the lens of what does a buyer think is attractive? And 2 things that always every buyer will think is attractive is low owner dependence, which basically means you're not essential for the everyday run.
Go to Tahiti now.
It means go to Tahiti now. It means show me that you went on vacation and didn't check your email 40 times. It means show me that you're not wearing 3 hats of line workers in your job.
Right.
Show me the business can run without you, because I'm not buying you. Even if I buy you for a little bit of time, I'm not buying you forever.
Right.
And then low customer concentration. So show me that we're not dependent on a few really big contracts that if they go away, everything blows up. Right. And then I would say the third is show me you've got a great team, which is a prerequisite for show me that you can step out of the business and it can be successful.
They definitely go hand in hand. I love that you brought up the concentration of client risk, because again, business owners don't think of that. They just look at it as revenue, right?
Oh, sure.
They don't look at it as, what if that revenue goes away?
Well, they've always known that they could make rain, right? Like, oh, so if that goes away, I'll get another, right? Or we'll figure that out, or I only need it to do X.
Right.
But again, if there's a Tahiti plan and we've put together this idea in our head about how it's going to roll, then we do have to think about who our potential buyer is. And that might even be a competitor who might look at our customer list and say, okay, half these people are also competitors. And if I buy your business, they're probably going to go away. And so now I'm going to discount your EBITDA. I'm going to discount your net income,
Right.
Because I'm going to say it's less stable. It's less reliable than you say it is. I'm going to discount your net revenue because I don't think the team's as strong as you think it is. Or I'm going to add back to your net revenue because you're taking a lot of things out of the business that as a new owner, I'm not going to take out of the business. Your compensation, the things that are flowing through to you. So on your side of the house, being able to see the numbers, right? And being able to say, there's a difference between the number we want to manage our tax obligations and the number we want to entice an owner, a buyer.
Right. Yeah, it's two different ways of looking at it, two different calculations.
And totally legit. Like, we're not cooking the books at all.
Right.
We're just showing the information in a different way for two different purposes.
Right.
And then if they're talking to you, we hope they're talking to a financial advisor who can answer the Tahiti question of like, how much you got in the bank? How much does Tahiti cost? How long do you want to live in Tahiti? And what kind of way do you want to live? Are we living in a grass hut or are we living, in a palatial resort setting? P.S. Your business would have to yield X in order for you to do this plan.
Right. Yeah, it's working, starting with the ends and working backwards, really.
Which is honestly what we do all the time, except for the end.
Exactly. Yeah. And so many business owners don't want to think about the end because their business is their baby, right?
Yes.
And we would never sell our child, or hopefully we wouldn't, right? But sometimes that is the option for the end of a business, especially smaller family owned.
Absolutely. And sometimes we actually get tired of our kid. I mean, I don't have children, but I'm the oldest of 4. And sometimes we're ready for the parenting to be a little bit less. So do I have to exit completely? Can I sell part of my business? Can I start the transition to the next generation and minimize my role and start to maximize their role? Do I want to go do something else? Is there something now that's like, this is way more exciting than what I'm currently doing? This could be somebody else's passion project moving forward. I've got my own. So the end isn't I'm getting ready to put one foot in the grave. Ideally, I hope you have a lot more time after you've decided you don't want to be doing the thing you're doing anymore. But the end might also just be a successful succession plan where I've taken myself out of the business. I continue to own the asset. It continues to provide me with the lifestyle I want. And I've taken care of all the legal and tax and other things so that when I am no longer here, whomever inherits or runs the business and owns the business moving forward has the most viable entity they possibly can.
Right. And a little bit of a segue here. So at what point would you say is like the prime point for a business owner to reach out to you? And is there like pre-engagement, like here's the 3 things you should do now and then give me a call, or is there just like let's just focus and do the things that need to be done to maximize value?
Yeah, so I would say call me when you're ready to grow. So you went out in the world, everybody's buying what you're selling. You're probably overwhelmed because the many different ways you could grow your business feel like I don't know which one to do, or you're experiencing growth and you're like, I am completely overwhelmed. I don't know how to manage this, right? We have work to do right now in order for you to reap the benefits of the growth you're either experiencing or want to experience. And then if we can look at it through the lens of what's the end game, we can start to put some of those pieces in right now. We don't even have to be talking about what exactly the end game is, other than I want it to have the highest possible value. And I don't want to wait until the very last minute before I get to enjoy the benefits of being an owner.
Right.
Okay, let's work on it. We can do an owner readiness, like how, if you were to leave today, how prepared are you to go and how much of you is tied up in that business?
And that's another thing. People don't think about that. Like, okay, I'm going to sell my business. Now what?
The what's next plan is huge, and that can take longer than the business attractiveness. Because business attractiveness, I can pull different levers, I can train people, I can put systems in, I can go get more customers, I can reduce my dependence on the business on me. The who am I? What do I do if I'm not doing this question? Whew. But to kind of go back, like, yes, I want to talk to you today because there's things we could do right now through the lens of what's next. But if you're truly like, I think I want to exit and when I'm this age or at this point in the business, back up 3 to 5 years. Don't call me in less than don't call me 2 years.
Right. It's not enough
I'm going to
time.
tell you got 3 to 5 years to go.
Right. Yeah, it's just
At
not
least
enough
3 to 5
time to
years.
do all the things. Yeah.
At
hear
least.
you. Yep. Perfect. So I love that time frame. I mean, because even my mind is going. It could be someone that's just even thinking of starting a business or just open their doors. Like,
there's lots of people buying businesses right now. I would love for you to buy your business with your exit plan in mind. Like, what you're buying a business, if you're choosing to buy rather than build, you're already thinking of it as an asset more so than the person who built one, right? So let's think about the end game. Let's do that now. Let's do it as part of your acquisition plan. How many years will it take for you to reap the value out of this investment?
Right.
Where are we going to pull the growth lever so that you're not chained to this business from day one? That, oh my God. Yes, call me. All day, every day.
Yeah, but even think about someone that thinks to start a business. Like, I think back 12 years for me, I wasn't even thinking about my exit. I was just thinking about how am I going to get my next client? What's my revenue going to be for this year? And how am I going to live my life, right? No cheating for me 12 years ago. But it can start as early as that.
Oh, yeah. That's why when, it's sort of a trick question. When do you come to me? From the beginning. If you didn't come to from the beginning, let's grow smart, right? And grow with those things in mind. If we haven't quite done that, but you still have you feel like I still got a few years in me. I feel like there's some things we need to talk now. I'm saying a lot, but come on. I was on a call the other day and the person I was talking to was like, I just turned 50. I'm like, I just turned 50. We had a little 50 fest. And she's like, I got at least, 10, 15 years before. I'm like, 10, 15 years is going to go quick. I don't know about you, but I feel like just yesterday I was, I'm 40. So this isn't a bad time. Your kids are getting ready to go into high school. Maybe they're ready to go into college. You're going to hit other life events that are going to bring up feelings of, do I want to keep doing this? Am I happy?
And priorities shift too, right?
All the time. And what if mom and dad call and they need more help? And maybe that's a year or two before you expected to get that call.
Right.
I don't know. Life has this way of doing things on its own timetable.
No matter how much we plan.
And so it's sort of like, okay, you think you got 10 to 15 years. What happens if it's 5 to 7? Let's just pretend.
Exactly. Yeah. So over the, I'll call it the life of your engagement with a client, I'm guessing that it kind of ebbs and flows depending on where they are in that life cycle.
Yes. So the recommendation is that we start by looking at what is your level of personal readiness in terms of exit, even if that's not on the near horizon, just so you can get familiar with sort of things we're going to really want you to explore before we actually enter into any sort of transaction in the future, and business attractiveness. And that can give us a roadmap to create a growth plan designed around your personal, business, and financial goals. That should create a list of priorities of what do we work on now, what do we work on later. And then it's recommended that we do 90-day sprints. 90-day sprints are very attainable. We can take big things and break them into smaller things. We can take near-term wins and enjoy the momentum off of those. And literally every 90 days, we can ask ourselves, do I want to keep growing or do I want to sell? Do I want to keep growing? Do I want to sell? You could do that for years. You may not need me for that entire stretch of time, and you may not need me in the same way that entire stretch of time. But if I'm your growth consultant and advisor, before I'm your exit planning quarterback, because that process alone is going to require way more than just me. It's going to require at least 2 lawyers, a tax specialist, a financial advisor. It takes a village. And it's a village that you are going to assemble for a very specific purpose. And you may know and work with some of these people right now, but they will have to be organized in a way where you're not getting conflicting information. Everybody's focused on the same goal. We all know what the timeline is, and we're working together to make that happen. So yes, ebbs and flows.
Right. But again, the end game in building that team, it's like having the professionals and them all being aligned to what the business owner's goal is, right?
Yes. Not, am I going to retain this business? No other goals other than what the business owner wants.
Yeah. And there's so many factors and so many things that can be brought up and come to the table.
Feelings mostly, right? Because if we've spent years getting the business ready and we feel confident there's not too many skeletons in that financial closet or that, staffing closet or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Even the most prepared owner is going to have the feels.
Oh, yeah.
Inevitable.
Yeah. Oh, Christy, we could talk for hours, but we will have to reconvene and do this again. So thank you so much. Your services, we need to shout it from the mountaintops because I see it all the time that business owners just make these decisions on a whim, and then they're disappointed in the value that the offers that come to the table because they didn't do the work to prepare. So Christy can be reached at her website, Purpose First Advisors. You can see her on LinkedIn. Is there anywhere else that people can find you? We'll put all the links in the notes to the episode, but if you want to give a shout out. Purpose First Advisors
and LinkedIn are the best places to find me. And I'm happy to schedule time and talk. No obligation, just what's going on and what are you hoping to accomplish? And if I'm not the right person, we'll find you the right person.
Christy, thank you so much. It was great spending time with you.
Thank you.
So to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. There was so much great information, and Christy is just a wealth of knowledge. So please feel free to reach out to her and have that conversation. All the episodes of Pathways to Profitability can be seen at our website here, pathwaystoprofitability.com. Thank you again for tuning in and supporting CFO Your Way and our podcast. Be well and have a wonderful day.
That's it for today's episode of Pathways to Profitability. Remember to ask yourself, where can I pay my success forward today?